With this one, we're just going to do one dart. And since we're not trying to, and actually we're not going to do a dart, we're going to do neckline gathers. We're not going to balance everything between two darts. You don't need to have your secondary gray line. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to stay straight because we're moving everything up into the neck area. So you just have 1 inch in, 11 inches down. And I'm actually not even going to pin my bust line over because what's going to happen is we're just going to start at the bottom. Clip and smooth. As you're going up, when you get up to the side seam, over to the side seam, you want that to be nice and smooth along the tape. There will be a few little bubbles here. Don't try to pull that all the way out. If I do that, I can get it nice and smooth, but then you look at your side seam, it's going to be like this. It's not going to be straight. So you want to just smooth it gently, but don't worry about getting all of that amount out. I've never used this dress form before, and I'm hating it more and more every week. So straight up your side seam without doing that extra pull. It will lay flat when it's on a real body. And what you'll notice is now your bust line is actually going up because you're pivoting everything up. There's no way it's going to stay straight. Around the armhole, just like normal. Across the shoulder so that everything is moved over to the neckline. With this, you could do a dart, you could do pleats, you could do other things with it. We're going to do gathers. So I'm going to clip down just a little bit. And a lot of times you'll see this with a halter kind of top. You've got the neckband going around and the gathers coming out of it. But it's not an attractive look to have those gathers go all the way up to the shoulder. It can get kind of bulky and uncomfortable looking. So you just decide where you want to start your gathers and make sure it's nice and smooth to that point. Then you're going to take a piece of muslin, just a thin string, and you're going to tie it around the neck. You want to tie it so that it is following as close as you can possibly get it, the neckline seam. So it's not coming up and above the neck. And then just evenly divide it out. So we've got it all done. So no pinning darts, no doing anything like that. Then you're going to draw it out, your neckline over to your shoulder. I'm going to do the front of that neck last. Shoulder seam, armhole, side seam, waist. Then through here, there's no way to draw a nice straight line. You're just going to come and make sure you've marked your center front, neck really well. You're just going to come periodically following that seam line and do little marks. So you're going to have a little dotted area going through. Where I stop doing my gathers, I want to do a line. So I've got that like a notch. Measure from that point to center front. and make a note of it somewhere, or if you can remember it, that's great. What you can do on this one, normal armhole, but like I said, most of the time this is going to be more like a cutaway armhole. You make a cut and change it. You could turn it into a halter. So I'm actually going to do that on mine. That's why I want to bring it down. If you're going to do that, don't bring it down to this point. Bring it at least an inch down. Otherwise, you're going to have to make that adjustment. Even with something that's got that much cut out of it, you don't want to stop right here in the pit. You want to have it at least that inch down. You can come down a little bit lower if you want, but you can change that. Don't come too far this way, because you don't want to have so much side boob that it's falling out. So you want to think about the shape that you want it to be when you're looking at that. If you were going to do the back for this one, same thing, you could do it here, or you could actually draw your line from here over and do the same thing here. Then you'd have drape your collar and mark where those points are on the collar. So there's a lot of variety and differences that you can do with this. Take it off. Waist, 90-degree angle at the center front. And curve. Side seam, so you're drawing your normal side seam in. I'm going to deal with this curve right now. So whatever. I forgot mine. I wasn't thinking about doing this on it. Oops, wrong point. I was wondering why it was becoming a weird shape. With this, even though we've done this and you've already pre-dropped it that inch, you still need to add the breathable room. So you're still going to go out a ½ an inch at that point before you do your seam allowance. And then seam allowance, and then I'll deal with the neck last. And this is like the neckline. If you've got this, there's not going to be a sleeve there unless you do a raglan sleeve. So anytime you've got that kind of finish on it, you're always going to do a ½ an inch. If there's a sleeve, it's a ½ an inch in the armhole. If there's no sleeve, it's always a ½ an inch. So it's a standard ½ an inch at this point. Then if you see you've got the little dots here, you still want to bring center front down 3/8 of an inch or a ½ an inch. You can just do a quarter, because that's still all the way up here at that point. If you don't do that, you're still going to be restricted and you're going to be feeling like you're strangled, even though it's a more open neckline. And then you're going to take that and start to connect your dots. So curving it up to the front first dot, and I'm going to kind of be below that one because I'm still blending from that drop point up to that one and over. Grab my normal pencil in this one. You still want that transition to be nice and smooth through there, so I'm going to transition it just a little bit and then the curve up to the shoulder. Then where this line comes in, I'm going to draw that so it's there, and that actually does become a notch with arrows. And gather to 2 1/8 inches, which is what mine was. So you want to put that mark on there, so you need to measure it on yours, however much you've decided you want that gathered. So you've got that as a guide. Putting this on the collar that it's going to be gathered to, you would have the notches, but you have that there so that someone sewing it knows exactly how much that's gathering in and how tight it is. So that's just a standard thing. And then this one is also quarter of an inch. And that's bodice number 2. The reason this is going up the way it is, and it's opposite of what the neckline curve usually looks like, is because you still have the bust you have to take care of and that extra fabric that it takes to go over it. If this was someone that was flat-chested, it would be the normal curve around the neckline, even though it's gathered. But because you have to go up and over the bust, you have to compensate somewhere. It's coming out of up there, so that's how you end up with that upper curve instead of the downward curve. So that's why it's shaped that way. We'll see the same thing when we do another bodice in a couple of weeks.